Good day, beautiful people. I try not to address political affairs on my YouTube channel. I've tried to stay away from it, for ages. Even though I might address it in my Instagram story or on my Instagram wall, but this time around, I just can't, abstain from the conversation. I'm sure you've heard about it. It's about the xenophobia attack against Nigerians in South Africa. I'm not going to talk about, the whole affair, because I know you've researched it and you know about it. It's been thrust upon you, whether you like it or not. You've heard about it. But what I'm going to tackle today is people are talking about how the Nigerian government haven't interceded properly, how they haven't got involved, how they haven't emphasized how serious the matter is, and how they haven't been firm in asserting their displeasure about the way their people or their citizens are being treated in South Africa. Okay, let me tell you why the government of the day, Buhari, will not address, he's addressing the situation, but the reason it won't take it seriously. Okay, let me tell you. The reason it won't take it seriously is because it all goes back to, I've posted this recently on my Insta story, that the northerners, the Arewa northerners, there are two types of northerners. We all used to think all of them up there in the north are all the same. But apparently, the northerners do not think that they're all the same. The Arewa northerners feel like they're the warriors. They're the they were already existing and they conquered the north. And they were the ones that transformed all the tribes that used to be up north. They kind of converted them into northerners and into Sharia, into Muslims, and the ones that didn't like it can get their heck out. So they see themselves as son of the soil. So, and they do not see the people from the western part of Nigeria, which is the Yoruba land, the people from the central part of Nigeria, and the people from the eastern part of Nigeria, and then the lower southern part of Nigeria. They don't classify them as all these people as sons of the soil, because, and you have to do your own research, when the British came in with their wahala, they came in from the marina, they came in from the Atlantic Ocean, which was, in Lagos. So they went on to conquer from the bottom up. So they conquered the southern part. They conquered the Yoruba land, which they were all separate, by the way. So the Yoruba land, yeah, wasn't part of Nigeria. Yeah. The Yoruba land was Yoruba land. It was our land. We had our own kings, different kings, different tribes, Oyo, Oshun, Ibadan, all the different places, yeah. It was called Yoruba land, the blue, the west. The eastern part also had their own different tribes. And they were doing their own thing. And they had their own culture, they had their own rules, everything. Likewise, the people in the south. So when they conquered from the bottom up. So if you look at Nigerian map, the way Nigerian map is, yeah, they came up, the British people were coming up, they were coming up. So when they got to the middle belt, yeah, if you look on the Nigerian map, from the top, the northerners, yeah, they're warriors, yeah, they've been conquering from the top. So they've taken the northern part of Nigeria, all the people that were living up there, all the ethnicity there, and they'd been ruling for 100 years before the British even came. They'd conquered all those people over there, and they'd incorporated their own tribe and introduced Sharia. So places like Kano, for instance, yeah, that Kano has a wall all around it. So when the British came, they couldn't get into the wall. All the little tribes were living within the wall. So they couldn't get in. So obviously they both had the same idea, which is they both wanted to, the northerners were coming down, the British were coming up. So that's the last part. They were supposed to conquer the northern part. But then the northerners are, the way they are now. Hausa people, now go there here, they know here come. They will fight for what they believe in. They're very strong warriors. They've got their own horses as well, So the British people, they were hard to defeat. They couldn't get into the wall. So both of them came to kind of like an agreement that, come on, we have vested interest. Why don't we work together? So I would attach some documents which was presented by Tony Enandi. And he did all that research over years and, came out with all these documentations, yeah, that prove what, cultures and what traditions and how things used to be before the British came and the deal, the northerners, Arewa northerners did with the British, yeah? And he said something along the lines of the British have sort of agreed that the northern part will not pay them taxes anymore, and he's come to an alliance or a relationship or a marriage with a lady of means. Who is this lady of means? Let me let you, you think about it for a second. The lady of means is the queen. Yeah, she's the one that's been conquering all over the world and acquiring other people's land. So yeah, she seems to think she's the lady of means, from stealing from other cultures and other countries and other tribes. And I hate this word when they say somebody, one white person discovered a place. Like it wasn't lost. People were existing before the white people knew about the place, before they stumbled upon the place, so they didn't discover nothing, so I hate it when they say, oh, this place was founded by. It wasn't founded. People were already existing, before they came along. They just came to steal and loot and rape. That was all they wanted to do anyway. So moving on, I digress. So basically, you need to understand this from the onset. You know, a draft was made, an agreement, which was enshrined into the constitution, with the British. So the Northerners, Arewa, and the British made an agreement that, do you know what, this land is rich with mineral resources, oil, you know, infrastructure, everything. So it just makes sense for us to split everything. So the Northern Arewa made an agreement with the British and said, you know what, we agree with everything. We'll split everything with you, as long as you agree that this place that you're gonna, you know, first of all, we have to find a way to, you know, share the money, you know, make it easy for ourselves, because all these different tribes that you own now, the British owned, you know, the Yoruba land, the southern part, and the eastern part. You know, we have to make it easy, you know, to be able to get all their resources together all in one place. So the British suggested making the whole of those areas, yeah, so the northern, eastern, western, southern, call it one name. So it was amalgamated in 1914. And the sole reason for the amalgamation is so they can keep stealing and looting, you know, legitimately, you know. So they produced something, the Constitution, you know, that made them, and in the Constitution, the agreement was, the Northerners said that they wanted Nigeria to be their own, and the British agreed and said, you know, they can manage it. The Northerners said it should be, Nigeria should be seen as an estate. You know what an estate is? You know, when somebody dies, you know, when they're reading the will and testimony of Calvin, Tony, you know, estate. So the Northerners, Arewa, said they wanted Nigeria to be known as the estate of their great grandfather, who was Usman Danfodio, and everything was agreed to. All these other parts, mind you, all the West, the Yoruba land, the East, the South, they didn't know nothing about this. They were told something else, that, you know, to draft the Constitution, you know, so there's peace, you know, oh, you're going to get your independence, you know, you're going to have a right of you know, to what's going on, it's saying what's going on, it turn in democracy, you know, because they're different tribes, you guys will take turns, things like that. But then they didn't know that the Northerners had done their own agreement. They didn't know that the Northerners actually owned most of it. In the documentation, it says that the North would always govern, and the East and the other parts would never govern over them. So you wonder why the Northerners, everybody knows that the Northerners, they don't bother to go to school for a good reason, because there's no point. They own everything. They don't need to prove themselves. They don't need to work too hard. So it just makes sense for everything. It makes sense that up till now, Nigeria is still in chaos. You know, they can't get anything right. You know, the political process, it's always a northerner every single time. You know, we've had Abacha, we've had Babangida, we had who go on? We had who? Name it. Yaradua, Buhari, name it, we've had it, and they're northerners. Apart from the Obasanjo, who broke the rank, really. I don't know what happened there, but obviously he's great friends with Yaradua, right? So You know, they probably, you know, did an agreement or whatever. Don't quote me on that. I don't know. But moving on, I digress. I had to, you know, give you a brief history, and you need to go and do your own research as well. But you need to understand what is the basis, what is the precipitant of the situation now. What is the framework? What is holding this country up? Once you understand that, you'll understand the injustices, the lies, the unfairness, the inequality. You'll understand everything, because ever since I can remember, from when I was a little kid, it's always been the first thing a kid learns in Nigeria is NEPA, NEPA. Is the Nigerian Electric Authority, you know, power authority. And because they take the light so many times, people just, you know, exclaim in dissatisfaction. NEPA, you know, every time they take the light, NEPA. So every little kid, from where I'm sure the first word a child alters in Nigeria is NEPA because they take light. Imagine, Nigeria is how old now? So independence was 1963. So Nigeria is probably 50 something years old. You know, I haven't done my maths yet, but thereabout. So imagine a country only used to have constant light when the colonies, the colonizers were there. So when the British were living in Nigeria, everything, the infrastructure was great. There was always light. You know, the roads were, brilliant. As soon as they handed it to the Nigerians, everything in chaos, no light, infrastructure terrible. They don't maintain anything. For a good reason. You have to understand. And you need to read what I'm gonna insert into this video very well. It says, the British, the Queen, owns everything. The infrastructure, you cannot generate electricity. You cannot generate and distribute electricity. So none of the tribes, no one in that country can generate electricity. So renewable energy is a no-no, really, you know, which will be so easy, you know, you make everything make sense, because in Britain here, you know, there's renewable energy, they encourage it, you know. In Australia, it's a big thing, you know, solar panels, you know, renewable energy. But in Africa, for some reason, they just want to run it to the ground. They don't want it to work. Why? For a good reason. Because it's got oil. If you trade in renewable energy, for them, that part, in terms of sales, in terms of, it's all about money, in terms of marketing, in terms of being able to accrue, you know, finances and money from that aspect will be made redundant. So they don't want that, you know. As long as you can keep pulling oil from the ground, and Nigeria is a colony, you know, like we're referred to, every African place or colonized place referred to as Commonwealth. Yeah. So because it's a Commonwealth, you know, yeah, they just want to keep making money out of it. They don't care about the people there. No. So they don't want you to have a better life. Renewable energy means if you have solar panels and everything and batteries and stuff, you can have electricity 24 hours. You can have a good life like over here. Like we have electricity all the time. You can pay as you go. You can have itemized bills. You know, you can pay monthly. You can do whatever you like. But they don't want that. They want you to keep using oil. They want you to rely on oil because, you know, you have to get the prices up. You know, you know, they have to sell that oil. They want the money, you know, so that they can share with their best friends, the Northerners, Arewa Northerners. So, which brings me to the point I'm trying to make. Once you understand this and you've done your own research, why would Buhari be flabbergasted, annoyed, resentful, would want to, support his own fellow citizens. Why would you want to do that? Because he sees himself, as superior. Most of the people that go to South Africa are people from the East, West, South or Middle Belt. Every other person but the Northerners. The Northerners don't go and stay in any other country apart from the North or Arab countries, where there are other, Muslim, people with vested interest. So knowing this, he's not going to do anything because it doesn't affect him. It's not his family. It's not his ancestors. It's not his lineage. It's not his, it's got nothing to do with him, I feel. So there's no reason why he would. Because to him, most of the people in South Africa are the conquered. The people they've conquered, the people beneath them, because they see themselves as the ruling class. They're upper, so they can knock themselves out as far as he's concerned. He doesn't care. He doesn't care, So I think, this should make sense to you why he won. Any other citizen from another country, and this is going on, like Britain or America, for instance, their citizens are essential to a country, even when they're out of the country. One, you have to say something when your citizen is being attacked because it says something about the country. America, they're very, boastful and very loyal, and faithful to what America is. They're very proud, So anybody doing anything terrible to their citizen, they take it very personal, because that means you don't see you disrespecting the whole of America. So that means that you think you are better than America if you're mistreating their citizen. They take it personal. Two, whatever if you do anything wrong to like an American citizen or a British citizen, it's just expected because they're superpowers. A lot can go wrong from them not saying anything, because then that means they're going to be looked down upon by other countries, like, oh, you guys see yourself as superpower, and they're doing this to you. It just won't happen. Let me just not debate it. It just won't happen. But then with Nigeria, and also, I meant to say, American citizens, wherever they are in the world, they have to pay tax back into America. They have to pay tax. So each citizen is valuable because that citizen is generating income. So if something happens to that citizen and their business is not going well or whatever, the country is not making money out of them. Thus, it's not good to America or England. So the same thing with, any other country, really, in Europe. But Africa or Nigeria, once the person leaves the shores of that country, that's that, really. If they're generating money, they bring it back into the country. Nigeria, they have to physically bring it back or send it, via Western Union or whatever. But the government don't really make money off each citizen. So to them, they're dispensable. It doesn't really matter. Which is a shame. It's such a shame. Look at what happened in Libya, for instance, and nothing was done, and it was swept under the carpet. Imagine that. Like, no nation should allow that. And that was what the South Africans saw. They saw, Nigerians, they're no one to contend with. They don't have any power. They don't object to anything. We can do whatever we like with them, and their heads would never say anything. So, we can roam free, It's terrible. What else did I want to say? So I'm just trying to give you an insight into getting an understanding what is going on here. It's all political. All political. It's a shame, and I wish that it's different, but the sooner we understand what's going on, the sooner we sort of, everybody keeps, they're talking about the Igbos want to break free. No, we're all one Nigeria. We should stay together or whatever. Come on, look, a relationship is not working. You're in a relationship. Yeah, husband and wife, you're fighting every single day. Yeah, your husband or your wife will not let you take control of your finances. Yeah, you can't do as you like. You can't come and go as you like. You can't use your money to buy what you like, so you don't look nice all the time. You can't do what you want. You don't have direction in to control your life. No control of your own life. I'm trying to liken it to what's going on in Nigeria. They don't have any say in the politics. They can vote till the cows come home. It will be rigged. It will be a northerner that is going to win, because the system is rigged from the beginning. So if they're not happy in the relationship, if they want to leave, mind you, Nigeria was made by the British, a white person. They were all brought together. They were all living independently before. Igbo land was Igbo land. It wasn't Nigeria. It was Igbo land. Yoruba land was called Yoruba land. It was living independently. It wasn't Nigeria. There was no Nigeria before 1914. So if they all want to leave, they want to go and do their own thing, let them. But the reason people have been brainwashed into thinking that, we need to be together. For one, they're thinking, if they break apart, then they won't be big. Nigeria prides itself as being, and they make this statement, we're the giants of Africa. What is the point of being a giant of Africa when you're useless? It's like a timid elephant. What's the point? They can't manage their affairs, they don't impact. What's the point? It's better to be a small nation and roar like a lion than be something big like an elephant and you cowl in the corner. What's the point? So if they want to go, by all means, let them go. Who knows? They might be on their own and decide like, it's not the same anymore. We want to come back. And, why can't they do that? But they should have, every citizen should have a say in how they're governed, in the constitution, how the rule of law works, everything. What's the point of being part of something when you don't have a say in it? It's not fair. So the point I'm trying to make is, we don't think, a white person made Nigeria. It didn't exist before. That's why it's not working. So for Nigeria to work, you need to disband it. You need to undo the damage that has been done so that we can understand ourselves. We can understand what we want. We will progress from then on. But there will never be progression as far as this nation called Nigeria is, because it was made by somebody else and given to you to manage. That alone, there's something wrong with it. Imagine, you produce something. Yeah, something is made. So, I make this bell. Yeah, this bell, I make it. And then I made it. The person I'm going to give it to does not know how I made it. Yeah, I made it. And then I gave it to somebody to look after it. How can that person look after it properly when they didn't know how it's made? If it breaks or anything, they don't know how to put it back together because they didn't have a say so in the making of it. So in Nigeria needs to be disbanded. It needs to be broken apart. wherever the way it was before, it needs to be made back the way it was before. You know, that way it will start progressing. That way, whatever evil that the white people, the British, yeah, put together would not have power over us anymore. And then we'll start understanding what our culture is, what our tradition is, what, you know, we have our own languages, you know, but they made that sound bad. You know, they called our languages aggressive. They gave us their language, English, and said we must talk like them, act like them, dress like them. But then when we do that, they come, yeah. A British person have told me before, like, oh, you sound like, but you're not British. Or even though you may sound British, but you're not British, you're just a good copycat. That was what he said. We dress like them. Oh, you dress like us, but you're not one of us. But then you want to teach us. Like fella said, teacher, don't teach me nonsense. Babala nonsense. It's all nonsense. Nonsense. So break this nation apart. Yeah, let Yoruba people, Yoruba land rule its own, you know, where we have our own cultures, traditions, we speak Yoruba, you know, we know how to be respectful to our elders, you know, we do things our own way. The Igbo people also know how they do their own thing, you know, they speak their own language. And if we want to do trade amongst each other, then it's all right. That's what used to happen anyway before, you know. But then we shouldn't let fear we shouldn't let fear prevent us from evolving. We need to evolve. You need to see this as part of evolving. So a dictator, a British, has come and put a country together so that they can keep milking out of all our resources. What we do, we complain up and down, up and down, up and down, but we don't do anything about it. The first thing you have to do, the solution is undo the mistake that has been done. Putting all these ethnicities together in one country was a mistake. It was a mistake. So undo that first of all for us to have solution in the country. Yeah? And then any letter or documentation or any agreement the Northern Arewa and the British made with each other would be undone. It won't have validity anymore. I tell you. So I'm going on, and this video might be too long, and I generally don't want my videos to be too long anyway, because normally I like to show, you know, like good, you know, happy path traveling, you know, showing new places, you know. Have you seen my video? Have you subscribed? Yeah, you, I'm talking to you. Have you subscribed? Huh? You like to just talk and disturb me in DM, yeah? Go like, hey, how are you? No, I'm not all right. Just go and subscribe. Press that button right now. Turn on the notification as well, all right? And if you like what I'm saying, share it too. If you want to enlighten yourself further, go and watch, type in Tony Nandi. So it's Tony and it's Nandi, Nandi, you know. And hear the man out. The man is a lawyer. You know, he's been doing this for so long. It took years out of his life to, you know, unravel everything, you know. Oh, another thing I forgot to say is the Yorubas, yeah? Especially in Lagos, Lagos Island. You know the Ayo Festival. Do you people know the reason why they do the Ayo Festival? Because everybody go like, ah, festival, Ayo Festival. Do you know why? Do you know the history behind it? Yeah, did they tell you? Did you research it? Yeah. To be honest with yourself, let me give you a brief history, yeah? The Ayo Festival came about because the British came to Lagos Island, yeah, and said to the heads there that, oh, from now on, you're going to start paying taxes to us, you know, the British. So the people in Lagos Island went and said like, hey, hang on for a second, you came to our country dictating to us, using our own natural resources and everything. Now you're saying we're going to start paying taxes, yeah, to you. a nobody from another land. Yeah? So the word, listen to the word. It said, Ayo, ayo. So they put on a regalia, yeah, to scare the British away and say, not on my watch. Ayo babantawa takibu ushere. Awo ni sowo ni bode. That's tax. Awo ni sowo ni bode. Oh, delay. So they thought that worked. But then what you don't know is the British people are so cunning. Actually, white people are so cunning. They were just informing you because they found a way to tax your ass anyway, regardless. So in properties you buy in Nigeria, you don't own it. Not unless you buy the land and you build property on it, then you own it. But then if you just buy a house or whatever, you don't own it. It's not yours. It reverts back. So yes, it's a form of tax. You don't own anything. All right. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, man. Have a great day.
Before I go, I'm going to leave you with the words of Amadou Bello.
Solely with Northerners and not with other Nigerians, a temporary or permanent one?
In actual fact, what it is a Northerner first. If you can't get a Northerner, then we take an expatriate like yourself on contract. If we can't, then we can employ another Nigerian, but on contract too. This is going to be permanent, I should say, for as far as I can foresee, because it will be rather embarrassed and it might even lead to bloodshed.
Doesn't this damage the idea, sir, of all people in all regions in Nigeria being fellow citizens of one country?
Well, it might, but you are new to our region, but how many Northerners are employed in the East or in the West? The answer is no. And if there are, there may be 10 laborers employed only in the two regions.
What Bello said was mostly true. The Easterners at that time were the most progressive Nigerians. They were in top positions all across government, and with Ironsi and Easterner in power, the Northern fear was that the East would dominate Nigeria forever.
But in 1952, when I came here, there weren't 10 Northerners in our civil service here. And I tried to have it Northernized, and now all important posts are being held by Northerners. The government of the day might be full